Hi-ho, friends! Thanks for joining me. Today, instead of looking through a bag of my thrift store finds, I thought it would be fun to do something completely different. I'm going to take you on a tour of some of my personal Halloween decorations. Let's go take a look. Welcome to my dining room. This is where most of my Halloween decorations live. Of course, we want to start off with some Muppets. That was a greeting card that I framed. This guy I bought at a craft show. Here's another little corner. I think the cat was bought at the same craft show. I love anything candy corn, glitter, and bats. And I decorate all the way up. I love this little spider guy. He reminds me of a Muppet. Here's another view of the cat. He was handmade, hand-sewn, hand-painted. Love that little mousey on his back. I love vintage Halloween masks. I don't have a ton of them, but I do like to weave them in where I can. I have a couple of die cuts. You can see one back there. That skeleton was from Target. I'm not a purist. I like to mix and match new and old. I'm not sure if that cat box is vintage or not, but I bought it at an antiques place. I made that cat bucket from a Martha Stewart template 100 years ago. And you're seeing some stuff that was made by Magpie Ethel, if you know who that is. That's another one of her creations there on the right, the little girl with the haunted house. And both of these pedestals that you're seeing came from Target last year, I think. And there's a vintage cat treat pail with some vintage foliage guys in the background there. I love those. They remind me of Miyazaki. That cat on the butter dish is a head nodder. That skeleton in the box is meant to be sent through the mail. There's a vintage honeycomb. There's a lot of stuff here. Some's vintage, some's new. But I tried to weave in a paper lantern whenever I can. Here's just another shot of my Jadeite cake plate and how wonderful it looks with Halloween. This is the first door of my major display cabinet. It's where I keep a lot of my Jadeite, and I just sort of layer over holiday, as you can see. Jadeite looks good with anything. All colors look good with Jadeite. Bartok! Who remembers Bartok? Raise your hand. That crepe paper was from Target. I thought it had a nice vintage look. There's another Bartok alongside some vintage crepe paper nut cups. Some pom-pom spiders and some vintage wax pumpkins back there. And a blurry picture of some very young ghosts. This is the third door of my main display cabinet. I think that is a vintage candle holder. Those two pumpkins with the buttons were made by my friend Heather. My mom painted these little pumpkin guys. That's vintage crepe paper. I find most of my vintage stuff, at estate sales. This is my vintage plant stand that will never see plants because I cannot keep them alive, but it is great for displaying vintage holiday. Some honeycomb down there at the bottom. This guy actually lights up and does like a flickering thing. The crazy lighting in this is because of my mini blinds, but I think you can see that it's lit up there. It's another Halloween bucket, vintage one. And this is my Haunted Mansion display. The tombstones came from all different places, including Disney World. The Hitchhiking Ghosts were a craft project you could print out from a Disney website, and the puzzle in the back is from a yard sale. Here's some more of my displays. I really like those black candy tins. They're actually called Jingle Bits, and they're Christmas, but they look so great in the Halloween display. These little buildings down here are from Target. I think you can still get some of them. Most of the little guys are Mary miniatures from Hallmark or Russ. Some of them are vintage, and some of them came from Target. I really like this setup. This is a shelf that is very high up. Got some die cuts up there that were from different estate sales, and they're very, very large. This is my wire baker's display rack. I like to tuck Muppets in where I can, of course, and I love the vintage trays with the fall leaves. Love me some candy corn and glitter. These are a bunch of ornaments. Some of them are vintage. And this little guy, the vampire, came from Target, and the tray is vintage. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Just leave them down in the comments. And until next time, I invite you to go out and find treasure.